Hi Virgo, and welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you are new here. So this is going to be your love and spirituality reading for the month of November. And this will be for Virgo, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus signs. And I'll also be extending this video, so make sure you check the description box down below when you are finished watching this one. Okay. Alright, there we go. Alright, let's see what's going on. Ooh, right away, the Three of Pentacles in reverse is popping out. So it looks like somebody is not wanting to cooperate with you. Someone could be distancing, oh my god, I can't talk. Distancing themselves from you in the month of November, or actually this is in the past position. So this is something that has already happened in the past. Someone who does not want to talk to you because every time you try to talk, your words get kind of twisted up, kind of like mine just did. Like whenever you're trying to communicate with this person, things just get, it's like things just get very confusing. You're always on two different pages is what I'm seeing. So you could have just stopped trying to communicate with them altogether, or they could have just stopped trying to communicate with you. It looks like you possibly wanted to cooperate with them, or they wanted to cooperate with you, but it's like when two people are just on completely different pages, no matter what you say to each other, things just take a left turn. That's the energy that I'm getting. Alright, so let's pull one more. Past position. I'm also getting that from that card, some of you feel like you're being taken for a joke. Like whenever you try to talk to someone, you feel like they're not taking you seriously. You feel like they're not taking your opinion seriously. Like whenever you give advice to them, they kind of like shrug it off. It's a couple different scenarios, but I feel like all in all, you're just feeling like you're not being taken seriously in whatever this connection is, and it looks like you're just fed up with it. So the Three of Wands in reverse lets me know that you could be turning your back on the situation, or they turned their back on you, because you just, it's like you're on two different pages and you're sick of feeling that way, sick of feeling like everything you say goes in one ear and out the other. And like I said, this is in the past position. So I feel like you did put a lot of energy into this situation, and you did try at least to not turn your back on the person, or you tried not to make the other person feel abandoned. But because you were on two different pages, it's like you had no choice but to turn your back on it, or it could be vice versa. They feel that way towards you, like they feel like they had no choice but to turn their back on the situation. But either way, whether you left or they left, it looks like both people are feeling very confused, and they want to find their way back to each other because they're just feeling very off without each other. But that doesn't mean that you're necessarily going to come back together. It could just mean that you're still picking up on each other's energy, and there's still like that energetic cord between you two that's making it difficult for you to fully part ways. Okay. So that's in the past. Let's pull for the present. Yeah, I feel like the connection just keeps kind of pulling one person or both person back, both people back to each other, I mean, and that doesn't have to mean physically back to each other, meaning that you keep on coming back together. It could just be that your mind keeps on wandering back to them for some reason, and it looks like it's happening on both ends. Like whenever you're thinking about them, they're thinking about you, and vice versa, because there is still this energetic cord. The Two of Cups is right at the bottom here. There's still this energetic cord between the two, between you and the other person, like I said, where you can still kind of pick up on their energy, or you can still pick up on how they're feeling. So you turned your back on the connection, but you really kind of didn't, because like I said, there's still that energetic cord there, so it's difficult to completely cut ties. Doesn't mean the cord's going to be there forever, but for right now, it looks like it's there. Well, actually, in the past, it was there. So let's see for the present energy what the present is looking like. I feel like this reading is going really quickly already. No? Why does this feel like so rushed? My other readings, it takes like kind of a while for me to shuffle and for the cards to come out. This reading, it feels like it's just going super fast, and the Knight of Wands is here at the bottom. So you could feel like you're going through like rapid changes, or things are just happening for you so quickly that you can't really keep up. I'm just getting like kind of this hectic kind of energy. So let's see what's going on for the present. Page of Pentacles. Okay, Virgo, it looks like you are focused on the wrong thing. With the Page of Pentacles being here and the Nine of Pentacles being here, it looks like you are focused on gaining your independence or focused on yourself, enjoying being by yourself, but I feel like it's not in the right way, if that makes sense. I feel like you are using work possibly as a distraction. You're using like your career possibly as a distraction or as a way to mask what's really going on underneath the surface, because the Nine of Pentacles by itself is a positive card, right? It's a card of feeling good even when you're by yourself, like feeling good, feeling free, you know, your money's looking right, you're looking right, everything is just good because you have this sense of happiness within you and you don't need anything outside of yourself to give you that. But with the Page of Pentacles being here in the reverse clarifying, I feel like what it's saying is that you have your eye on the prize but for the wrong reasons. So it's like you could be trying to really build up your career, or you could be really trying to build yourself up externally, like focused on your looks and things like that. And I feel like it's not feeding you on the inside, if that makes sense. Like some of you are trying to suppress something is what I'm feeling like by focusing on something else. But really the thing that you're trying to suppress is what you're supposed to be focused on. If that makes any sense. It's like, okay. It's like the example that I'm getting in my head is like someone who all their lives they just did not feel good about themselves, or people have constantly put them down, or people have constantly just not been there for them. Like they've just experienced a lot of abandonment or a lot of people betraying them. They've experienced a lot of heartache when it comes to their connections with people, and so they never internally felt good about themselves because of the things that were going on in their external environment. So then they start to just focus on work, and it's a good thing because they're getting things done, and they're feeling good about themselves because they're accomplishing things, but they never fully dealt with those deep-seated issues of self-esteem when it comes to how they see themselves or how they see other people and how they see connections. They just kind of suppress that part of themselves and like, okay, I'm just going to focus on work. You see, I hope that that's making sense. It's kind of confusing in my head too, but I hope that whoever this is for is resonating with you. You can't bypass important internal work by focusing on external things. You see what I'm saying? I hope that I am making sense here, because it's like I see what it's kind of is trying to say, but I hope I'm conveying it the right way. For some of you, you are feeling off balance because the person that you are focused on is not focused on you. And they could be happily enjoying their life, being single, you know, they look like they're just having a grand old time, and you're focused on them and they're focused on them. So one of you is focused on the wrong thing. When they focus on them, you focus on you. Don't focus on them when they're not focused on you. I feel like this reading is about to get really confusing. Okay, let me repeat that. Some of you are focused on someone who is focused on themselves and not you. And you're letting life and time pass you by because you're choosing to stay focused on someone who's not focused on you. And you're needing to retract, or you're needing to pull your energy back and to focus on self. For some of you, this is the person that you were dealing with. You're focused on yourself, but they're focused on you. And in that case, there's nothing you can really do about that except to continue to focus on self. I hope that these messages are coming through clearly. I really do. The Seven of Swords is here at the bottom as well. And the Seven of Swords is a card that talks about deception. So I feel like a lot of you are either you cut ties with someone who deceived you, or you have been deceiving yourself in some way. And I pick up this very heavy energy of some of you are masking some sort of pain with external things. And basically what this is saying is that you're fooling yourself, like you're deceiving yourself, because in the long run, it's going to hit you that you did not focus on the things that were wrong underneath the surface, and that you just focused on the external instead. There's nothing wrong with focusing on work, or focusing on, you know, making yourself look good and things like that, or focusing on your relationship, but none of those things can bring you true happiness from within. You have to work on your internal environment just as much as you work on the external. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like a lot of you may be coming to that realization or needing to come to that realization. And I'm also getting that some of you could be waiting for someone else to come to that realization because they could be shutting you out and just focused on external things to make them happy. So, very interesting reading so far, Virgo. So let's do the November energy. I feel like November is going to be a month where you really start to realize what really matters, like what really, really matters to you, and not the things that on the surface matter, but what matters to you on a deeper level. So let's see, November, Virgo. Ten of Pentacles in reverse. See, in the month of November, the energy that's coming up is the Empress in reverse and the Ten of Pentacles. So again, I feel like in November you are going to be really evaluating the things that you really care about, the things that you can't see. So you've been really focused on, I feel, your your material, the material world. You've been really focused on work, or really focused on, you know, making yourself look good. You've been really focused on the outside, like you're very focused on the external. And I feel like the month of November, you're just not going to be satisfied with that any longer, and you're going to want to really look deep within yourself and find out what makes you happy on a soul level, like on a spiritual level, what truly is fulfilling you. Because I feel like whatever is around you right now isn't fulfilling you. I always get the energy that someone is cross-watching whenever I do the Virgo video. None of the other videos, I never feel the need to put a disclaimer about cross-watching. But every Virgo video, I feel like someone is cross-watching. And that could be because Virgos, they are a bit mysterious, I guess. Like, they keep to themselves. They're very... it's like the Hermit card. That's their card. They like to go inward, and they like to figure things out in solitude. So sometimes if you're connected to a Virgo, you can be a bit confused, and you can come to this reading. That's probably why I'm always picking up on cross-watcher energy. Anyway, I found that funny. The Ten of, like I said, the Ten of Pentacles and the Empress card. The Empress card talks about the lack of self-confidence that you have been feeling, despite the fact that things in your external environment seem to be going okay. For some of you, things in your external environment is not going okay, and that's a large reason why your self-confidence is at a low. But for some of you, your external environment is looking good, your money's looking good, or you know, you could be in a relationship that makes you feel good or that looks good on the surface, but deep down is something, you just know there's something missing. And I feel like in the month of November, you're going to get to explore that and to really figure out what your soul is calling you to do. Because eventually the material world just gets played out. Playing the Matrix game. It gets played out after a while because it's not fulfilling. It's not, and you know that it can only grow but so much, you know? I feel like the Empress card is talking about this feeling of lack, because the Empress in the upright is the feeling of abundance. So if you are someone who gets your happiness from your external environment, you'll never be happy because you'll always feel like you need more. There's always more money to get. You know, there's always more attention to get. There's always more validation to get. And you'll constantly be chasing that because you're supposed to find that inner happiness in the present moment within yourself. You're supposed to find that peace and that confidence within yourself. So you're not constantly chasing it, because that comes from a mind state of lack. Like I said, if you've been through a lot in the past where people have given up on you, or people haven't believed in you, or people who have just walked out on you and abandoned you, you could be in that energy of lack because you feel like someone's always leaving, or you feel like something's always going wrong. So you start chasing external things to fill up that hole or to fill that void, but then you come to find that that void is just not being filled. And you find yourself chasing more. You need more, you need more, you need more, when really you already have everything that you need. So I feel like that's something that you are going to be looking over in the month of November. Wow, this is getting deep. Okay, let's pull two more for November. The Five of Swords, okay. I always say that the Five of Swords is associated with the ego. I'm going to tell you why in a second. Okay. Five of Swords. Like I said, I always associate this card with the ego because you can see in the card it's like someone who has overthrown their opponents and he is happy to be the victor, to be the last one standing. But it's a very hollow victory because in the end, he ends up standing alone. So if you have been in some type of ego war with people or with someone, you've been feeling like you need to prove yourself, I feel like the victory in the end is going to be a very hollow one. I feel like it's just going to be a hollow one. Or if someone's been doing this to you, trying to get the upper hand over you or trying to have that control or power over you, even if they quote unquote win the situation, it's like what's next? You know, you win, you got the upper hand, now what? You still end up alone, or you still end up, you know, with the same problems that you had before. So who really won? See what I'm saying? So I feel like in the month of November, there's definitely some type of ego check that needs to be had. So be careful with who you are. Be careful with the way that you are relating to the people that you love. Make sure that it's not turning into a battle of who gets the upper hand. If so, just withdraw your energy and retreat from those type of connections because no one really wins in the end in that case. So definitely taming the ego in November. And that's being clarified by the Nine of Wands. So this means that your past is causing you to be in this energy. The past of being hurt, the past of people just putting you through a lot. So now every connection you encounter, it's like you are on edge. You feel like that person's your enemy, and you feel like you have to get the upper hand. And that's something that's going to continuously sabotage any happiness you come across in the future. So there's going to be a lot of reflection on this in November. We are in Scorpio season, you know, it gets deep. Things from our past that are very deep, they get unearthed during Scorpio season. So I feel like a lot of traumatic things from your past that you've been through, you are in the month of November needing to reflect on how that is affecting the way that you relate to people in the present moment. Okay, sorry, camera died. But like I was saying, there's a need to reflect on the past in order for you to have a clear picture of why your present looks the way that it does. Because remember that your present is just your future based off of past events. So what you've been doing for the past 10 years of your life, you're now in the outcome of that. See what I'm saying? So now it's time to start planning your future based off of looking at the present as the past of your future. I hope that wasn't confusing. So it's just coming to the realization that everything that you do from here on out is going to directly result the way your future looks. So you want to reflect on the past, not because you want to stay there or live there or wallow in pity, but because you want to see how that has affected your present so you can make sure that you are doing the right things in the present that will lead you to a more prosperous future. You see? So I feel like there's going to be time for that, or there's going to be a lot of emphasis on that in November. So we are going to look at the cards, Virgo, before we move on to the extended. So I will be right back. Okay, Virgo, so here are your cards. So just take a second to glance at them, see if anything pops out at you, and allow those intuitive messages to just kind of come through to you. Okay, so I feel like the month of November is going to be, I wouldn't say a difficult one for you, but it's going to be kind of a heavy one, or it has the possibility of being a heavy one. And that's not to fear, or that's not to make you afraid of what's coming this month, because I just feel like as long as you know what's coming or you know what to expect, you can kind of get on top of it. So the Nine of Wands being here is the main reason why I say you may have a difficult month, only because the Nine of Wands shows trauma from the past kind of creeping back up on you in some way, shape, or form. So something can trigger you, or it could just be you thinking about the past a lot can be kind of triggering to you. And the only reason that those thoughts come back to you is because sometimes they need to be dealt with, like they need to be faced and handled. I'm not talking about things that are like extremely traumatic, like very traumatic events that are coming up. You may need to seek out some type of professional help for that. So I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like past relationships possibly that just really hurt you or really disappointed you, that you suppressed, and you kind of still carry that energy with you, and you've never really dealt with it. Like, you've never actually faced it. You've kind of just, like I said, suppressed it and just kept it moving, because it felt like that was the right thing to do at the time. It just didn't feel like it was worth crying about it every day, or it was worth complaining about it every day. You just kind of were like, okay, well, it happened, let's keep it moving. But sometimes that's just not very wise, because it helps in the moment, but in the long run, it can really affect you in ways that you don't understand, or that you can't really see until you get into 2 or 3 more relationships that just fall apart in the same exact way. And you're like, okay, wait, what's going on here? And then you stop and think, like, okay, maybe I was affected by that past relationship more than I thought, and now that's affecting the relationships that I have now. So I feel like a lot of you have been coming to that realization, or you're going to be coming to that realization. I feel like for a lot of you, you're needing to really practice genuine self-love. I feel like a lot of you are practicing self-love kind of from an ego sort of standpoint, which is very common for a lot of people, not just Virgos. A lot of people are this way. They want to practice self-love, so they practice it on kind of a superficial level. Like, okay, I'm going to get this amount of money, and I'm going to buy this type of clothes, and these type of cars, and these type of shoes. And, from an outsider looking in, it looks like self-love because, you are taking care of business, you look good, and you look like you're feeling good, but then there's like this sense of emptiness that's on the inside. So I feel like you're needing to really connect more with your soul in this month and practice self-love in that way, instead of focusing so much on the external. It's like doing things that actually genuinely feed your soul, and really focusing on those things. I feel like will be really beneficial for you in the month of November. I'm trying to see if any other messages come through. Just don't suppress your feelings, and don't run from them, because it's going to come back up eventually. It has to. It has to come back up eventually, or else you just won't be living your best life. You just won't, if things are just so buried so deeply and suppressed within you. So allow them to come up and really face them and deal with them. Again, for anyone who went through something extremely traumatic to the point where like you're being triggered and it's just too much for you, you may want to seek out professional help and guidance with that, because that Nine of Wands card, it's always troubling to me, because it could talk about PTSD, it could talk about really serious type of traumas. So, take the messages as they resonate, and make sure you seek out the help that you may need in the month of November. So we will extend this reading on my Vimeo channel, and I will leave the link to that down below. So we will extend this reading. We'll look more into these cards, and I'll also be doing a working with your shadow reading on Vimeo as well. So it'll be 2 readings within one video. So I will leave that link down below. And thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope that this was helpful, and I will see you guys over on Vimeo.